Good morning, sir. Good morning, Arti.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning, students. இப்போ இன்ஃபார்ம் பண்ணிடுறியா ஆர்த்தி இல்ல என்டாரப்ப இன்ஃபார்ம் பண்ணிக்கிறீங்களா?
Inform பண்ணிடுங்க மேம், நீங்களே சொல்லிடுங்க மேம்.
Okay. Good morning, students. The fifth hour we are going to conduct an open book test. Right? Either you can copy it up, you can read it up through the link and type it up, or you can see the book which is available in your Google Classroom. You can use that book and write the test. We will post all the questions, questions only, because somebody please mute it. Right? You can post the question. We have posted the question. We are going to post the question. You just have to write the test. You using your book or using your net, anything it's going to be. It's a 2-mark questions. Please make sure you write the correct answer because it is in the Google format. You will write it up and submit it up. We will correct it up and tell you how much marks you gain in this one. It's a complete open book because we just want you to give you what is a 2-mark question, how the 2-mark question will be in this one. That unit is last unit, 4th unit. Because it's a recent one, you will be able to understand the concept or recently you have studied that concept. So we just want you to know how to do the 2 marks. We are not very clear how the university is going to conduct 2-mark question or 16-mark questions or anything in the examination oriented point of view. So it says at least we should get an accurate with your 2-mark side as well as your 16 or 15-mark side. So make sure everyone should be present in this test and you should complete the test within the time. That is one of the rule. So we'll post all the question, write it up and get the answer, submit it up through your Google form. Right. Arti kanni panikuma.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. So, students, as ma'am said, so 1:15 you'll be having open book test on 2-mark questions from the 4th unit. So we'll continue with the 5th unit that we are seeing right now. Okay, so we are seeing about ATM, that is asynchronous transmission mode. So it is mainly used by the network service providers. So in order to provide network, internet with the broadband services. Okay, for the broadband services, we are using the ATM. So we saw how data is, that is how it is working. Then we saw the architecture of ATM in which we had these 4 interfaces. So whenever you take any network, we need a management system, that is either it can be a human who is managing the network, or you can have as a system itself where we call it as network management system. So we'll have a software which governs how the network is working, what happens when there is some kind of errors and all those things. So an end user will be accessing the network. So in order to do that, in ATM we have these 4 interfaces, M1, M2, M3 and M4. So we were looking about M1 and M2 in the last class, and today we'll be looking about M3 and M4. So as you know, M1 and M2, it is from the end user to the private network and to the private ATM system. So that is about M1 and M2. So M3 is between 2 public network management system, and M4 is between a public network management system with a public ATM system. That is, ATM system means it will have ATM elements like ATM workstation, ATM switches. That is those components which work with the ATMs. Earlier we saw the components which work with SNMP, right? So likewise, these work with the ATM system. That is your asynchronous transmission mode. So going on, so next topic will be learning about how messages are exchanged. So that is your ATM digital exchange interface management. So that is for today. So this is just a quick overview what we saw in the previous class. So this is how your interfaces are, right? So you have this end user. So first, that is your M1 interface is used when your end user will communicate with your private network management system. So M1 comes into picture when the end user tries to access the private network manager. So next M2 is between the private network manager and private ATM network. So ATM network will contain ATM elements, ATM components, that is ATM workstations, switches, all those kinds of things which are defined to work with ATM system. Then M3 is used when a private network manager communicates with a public network manager and vice versa. And then M4, it comes in when the public network manager works with public ATM networks, that is M4. So M5 when two public network management system works. So much importance has not been given for M5 since it is public, it is open. So the remaining things you have private with a public or a public private with private combination. So next we saw this private UNI, right? So it is user network interface. So if we are using a private network, then we call it as private user network interface. If we are using a public network, then we are calling it as public user network interface. So that is what we saw in the previous class. So this is about how ATM uses different interfaces in order to do the data transfer. Here the data transfer says that it is about the internet that an end user is accessing, that is broadband network that you are able to access to get the internet connectivity. So this is about the M3 interface. So M3 interface is for customer network management of a public network. So this interface is between the private network management system and the public service provider. So here, as I told you in the previous class, I just gave you an example that I am a user who is going to access the Airtel net, that is internet connectivity. So we have these user interface, right, which helps us to view what is the amount of data that I have used. So for example, if I'm using mobile data, I can check using the Airtel app. So how much is the data that I have used so far and how much is the data that is remaining as per my plan. What is the balance that I have? If I have any kind of query, I can contact the customer support center. All those kinds of interfaces we have, right? So I am trying to access a public network. So these kinds of interfaces, this M3 will provide. So this will help you to, that is, you are able to view and access your network. So that is, so when I am trying to access a network, so I should be able to know only my network details, like how much is my net balance, all those things. So when I'm trying to view it, so it should be viewable only for me and not to anyone else. So that is to be taken into consideration. So you have two classes. So as we saw, class 1 and class 2. So class 1 is for the configuration and status monitoring and class 2 is for virtual connection. So virtual connection is in order to add some connections, in order to remove some virtual path or virtual channels, we will be using class 2. So this is about class 1 and class 2. So class 1 will provide offers, network offers to the customer. So network service was given to the customer with the class 1. So these includes customer performance monitoring, management of configuration, fault performance management of a specific customer. So this is what I was telling you, right? I'm able to view what is the net balance that I have, what is the data balance that I have, what is the current that is current uh, recharge plan I am using. So all those kinds of things can be done. So likewise, class 2 is providing a capability such that you can add or remove your virtual connection. So how this does? This is the diagram we saw, right? So class 1 and class 2. So class 1 is for status and configuration management and class 2 is for virtual configuration. So this is where your M3 interface comes in. So M3 comes when the customer communicates with the carrier management system. So this carrier management system is split into two, class 1 and class 2. So this when a customer gives some request, this customer acts like a manager, like how we have in SNMP. And this carrier management system acts like a agent that we have in SNMP. So when a customer is giving some kind of request, So this carrier management system will process it and it will give you some kind of response. So when I'm trying to find out what is my net balance, data balance that I have, so I'll just give a request, check balance, or you have this star 121, all those kind of the options that you can use to know your balance and validity, all those kinds of things, right? So that is like an interface. I am using my mobile as an interface to view what is my pack that I have, recharge packs that I have. So whenever you give that, whenever either you're using your mobile app or you're using some kind of calling things like star 121 hash, all those things, right? So that connects you with the customer care or gives you the response as a message, all those kinds of interface. So likewise, M3 is an interface. So when I give a request to the CMS, what we call it as carrier management system, so this CMS will process it and will give you the response back. So that way, if it wants to give the response, then it will have to use this class 1 and class 2. So class 1 is mainly for the configuration management and class 2 is for the virtual connection. So if I want to switch off my that is my SIM, so we have option in mobile, right? So turn off that particular SIM. So like some kind of connection establishment, all those things are done in class 2. And the next one is just the public network ATM. So it is using, so if you are using a public network, so then it becomes a public user interface. If you are communicating with a private network, then it becomes a private network interface. So you can have n numbers of customer. Okay, so you have customer, customer. So you can have n numbers of customer who can access that particular service that is provided by the service provider. But the details of that user is it should be preserved. Okay, I should be able to view only my data pack details. So when I'm trying to communicate with this, so then there comes the M4 layer. So M4 layer is used when a public network communicates with a public ATM network. So public network management system communicates with a public ATM system. So this public ATM system will have more number of ATM elements like switches, like workstations and all those things which are specific to the ATM. So this is how the M3 and M4 interfaces are used. So the thing that you should remember in M3 is that it is divided into two classes. One for configuration and second one is for virtual connection. So these are the different modules that we have in the class 1 interface. So first one is general UNI protocol stack. So this belongs to the system group. Next one is ATM performance information. So this belongs to the if table. Next, physical air performance. So that is in all the tables. So these are the things, as I told you, you will have the modules and that module information is stored in which kind of table. So that is given as a tabular column. So for every interface M1, M2, M3, M4, you need to know what is the MIB and the corresponding table. So what are the different modules that it holds on and what are the different table entries it can access on. So this you need to remember for all the interfaces, 4 interfaces. So next one is class 2. So as I told you, class 1 is for configuration management and class 2 is for virtual connection. So this class 2 is further divided into 3 groups. Okay, first one is ATM level subgroup. Second one is VPVC. So VPVC is nothing but virtual path connectivity and virtual channel connectivity. So virtual path and virtual channel. I can call it as virtual path configuration or virtual channel configuration or connectivity. And the third one is traffic subgroup. So what this ATM level subgroup will do is it will provide the ability for the CMS, that is your management system, carrier management system, the ability to modify the ATM level configuration information. So this ATM level subgroup will allow your CMS to modify the information in regarding with the ATM configuration. So class 1 value. So class 1 value, it is able to access by the ATM level subgroup. And the second one is, as I told you, it is about the connectivity. So VPC and VCC. So VP and VC provides you four types of information. The first one is it provides the virtual path, link, configuration, and status information. So whatever we have in class 2, it is working in connection with the class 1. So class 1 contains your status and configuration information, right? Management, right? So that is done with this kind of class 2. So virtual link and virtual path. Okay, so those connection configuration and status information is maintained by this subgroup. So this subgroup will able to in order to, it will be able to access all the virtual path and virtual channel connection configuration and status information. That is what is given in class 1, right? Status and configuration monitoring. So how it is monitoring is with the help of the virtual connection. So for every virtual connections that you have, you need to monitor the status. I am a customer. So like this, you can have n number of customers for a service provider. So for all the customers, the service provider, network service provider will should be able to do the status and configuration management. So VPC and VCC are for virtual path link configuration and status information, and VC is for virtual connection configuration and status information. So third one is traffic subgroup. So this traffic subgroup gives the description about the traffic and other kinds of information. So which are required for your virtual channel or your virtual path. So we saw that VP and VC, right? So VP and VC are virtual path and virtual channel. So this whatever data it is transferring, that it is maintained or monitored by the traffic subgroup. So this traffic subgroup will provide all the necessary information and the description that is required for the virtual channel or virtual path connectivity. So this is about your class 2 interface. So M3 we saw it is into two classes, class 1 and class 2. Class 1 is for status and configuration management, and class 2 is for your virtual path and virtual connection configuration management. So class 2 is further divided into three subgroups. The next one is M4. So M4 is used for public network management. So when two public network management are communicating, then we have this M4. That is what is given in this diagram, right? Yeah, here. So when a public network manager communicates with a public network ATM. So this is what we saw. So when two public network management system or the public ATM system communicates, then we have this M4 interface. So this M4 interface uses your postal, telephone and telegraph company that we will see later on. Just M4 is used for two or that is when you have public network interfaces. So this is a diagram which tells you about how the ATM it's related to the telecommunication network management layered architecture. So you have these two layers, right? Business management layer and service management layer. So they are applicable at the application level OSI at the network layer. So ATM forum, so which is precisely looking on to the ATM network. So that doesn't deal with these two layers. It deals with only these kinds of layers. So this is available at the higher end. So that is not governed by your ATM forum. So we saw IETF and ATM forum who are governing your ATM network. So IETF is Internet Engineering Task Force and ATM forum. So these two are only governing your ATM system. So you can see that at the lower end you have this element layer, right? So element layer will contain all the network elements that we have. So network elements like, as I told you, it can be all the switches, ATM switches, ATM workstation and ATM transportable devices, all kinds of devices through which we communicate in the ATM network. We call them as element. So network element, that is what it is notated as. So next we have this element management layer. So what this layer does is, it, as the name says, it manages the network elements. Element layer will contain all the elements, and this management layer will be able to manage all the network elements that we have, all the devices that are connected to the ATM. So next we have this network management layer. So this network management layer will either directly or it will either indirectly manage your network. So as I told you, whenever you have any kind of network, you need a network manager. So that network manager is that is you have as a separate layer. So either it can directly or indirectly it can manage your network. So directly means it will have all over the rights. If it is indirectly meaning that your EML, that is your element management layer, will take care of the managing the elements of the network. So that is done. That is either network management layer can take care of the management, or your element management layer will take care of the management of the different components. So element layer contains all the network elements that we have in ATM. Element management layer manages all the network elements. So network management layer can have your NMS, network management system, that is either directly or indirectly it can manage the system. Suppose you have a separate manager who manages the network elements, then it is placed at this particular layer. That is your network management layer. Suppose if you don't have a separate manager, then that network management work is done by the element management layer. So you need not have it as a separate layer. If you want, you can have it within the element management layer itself. So this is how ATM is related to the telecommunication network management layered architecture. So this is where you have your network elements. So this is your NMS, that is your network management system. And these are the different elements that we have in your ATM. So you have this M4 interface. Why you have this M4 is, when your public network management system is communicating with your ATM, that is public ATM elements, then we have this M4 interface. So here you can just view what the elements are. If you are using the M4 interface, you can view what these elements are. So this is your network element view management architecture. That is, your NMS will be able to look what are the devices that are connected and what is its configuration. The next diagram, here you can see how that is your network management system. If it uses your M4 layer, it will be able to view only the elements. So in case if you have a sub network management system, okay, within which, that is, you can have two different LANs that are connected with a wide area network. So that particular LAN will have some kind of management system. Every LAN, that is, you have some server, right? So even in our college lab, we have the server. So if you are running on the Linux, suppose, or Unix commands, if you want to run, we will be using the Ubuntu, right? So we'll be using the other operating system which is available on your server. So you are trying to use, best example is your putty that you will be using in your lab during the C program that you are running. So if you are using putty, so putty is available in the server. Okay, it is not locally available in your machine that you are using in the computer lab. Suppose if you are using Dev C++ or any other IDE, NetBeans or Eclipse, those kind of IDEs that are available at the client point. So that you can use as it is. But if you are using Putty, it is available at the server. So that is your particular lab network can be connected to a server. So likewise, we can have more number of LANs which are connected to the server. So wherever you go in our computer lab, you can access Putty, right? So if you know the IP address of the putty, you can access the putty and then you can give your login credentials, your username and your password, and then you run the programs on the server. So likewise, if you have more number of LANs, okay, then that will have a sub network management system. So then this LAN will have a separate network management system, and this LAN, similar these are two LAN connected systems. So then these two LANs are to be monitored if they are connected onto the internet. So when they connect onto the internet, they become a wide area network, right? So we have a, global network management system. So likewise, this sub network management system again will have the M4 interface. So this M4 interface will be able to view all the network elements that we have. So that is about your example of network view management, physical configuration. So next diagram. So this here you saw that M4, right? And again you have this M4 here. But here in that M4 itself, we are having it as a two-way communication. Okay, one for the separate network management, sub network management system, and another one for the other sub network management system. That is, you are using one kind of network view component with the global one. So this is one way of network view that we saw, right? So these two are two different things. So these are combined and then it is monitored by your network management environment. That is the global one. So for that, we are using the network management view only ATM. And then the next one is configuration management. So when you are supposed to do some management on the network system, so then you can have different types of network, that is fault tolerance, error eradication, then you can have that's transfer layer, all those kinds of things. That is transfer when you are doing the data transfer. That time you can manage your network, all those kinds of things, right? So we have configuration management for ATM, which is capable of doing operations that are performed over the interface. It is for human intervention, that is, you can add or delete some particular components onto the network. It is for customer control channel, that is your ILMI, integrated local management interface. That is what we saw, right? It is about within the particular network, you can use this interface to manage the different devices. Next is your network failure in case of a system goes down, and then if it comes up after some time. So those kind of things like how we saw in SNMP, same thing. The next protection switching events. So we have a switch. So as I told you, the network elements can be ATM switch or the ATM workstation. So switching always happens, right? So next sub ATM network component. That's what we saw. We saw like sub network management system. So next configuration of user network interface and configuration of your virtual private and private, that is virtual path and your virtual channel. Next configuration of them, then event flow control. All those kinds of things are done by configuration. So next comes fault management. So whenever you have a fault, so what kind of fault it is and how it is managed. So first, the NMS is notified that you have a failure. So like how we do troubleshooting of our system, right? If your operating system is not booting, some kind of intimation is given to you that operating system failed, something like happens, right? So if you are trying to access a page on the web, so 404 error, file not found, something, some kind of intimations you have, right? So likewise, if you are not connected to the internet using your broadband connection, so we have an option that you can able to troubleshoot it. You can able to configure it and find out what kind of error it is. Why you are not able to access the broadband. Sometimes your firewall might protect you from accessing your internet. So you need to switch off the firewall and then use the internet connectivity. So you are being intimated that some kind of failure happens. It cannot be a failure, some kind of event which is which is avoiding you from using your network. So first, the fault management system will notify the network management system about the failure. So it will give you the logging failure report. So like how we have seen this log files in your DBMS, right? So it keeps track of the things till which you have completed your executions, your querying or something, or when you're doing a transaction, if the transaction fails, so you'll be having the log file which tells you what kind of transfer it was and where it failed. So all those logging failure reports, that is reports of that kind of failure that has happened into the system is given by the fault management. And the last one is isolating the fault via Debian testing. So whenever you have any kind of failure, you just give a trial and error, right? So first, when you are not able to access the network, so what we do in your mobile, what you do, you just switch on your aeroplane mode and then switch it on and switch it off. So that might help you to give you access to the internet connectivity. If that is not possible, we try to reboot, that is restart your mobile device. Even that doesn't work, then you will have to look upon the other alternative. So you just try what are the things that can be done. So that is done by the fault management system. So it will notify the network management system about the failure that has happened, and it will give you the log report, and it isolating the faults via demand testing. So next one, these are the generic troubling or troubleshooting that you can have. So when you are doing your communication, so you can have the alarm indication signal, loss of cell, loss of frame, loss of pointer, loss of signal, payload mismatch, transmission error, path trace mismatch, all these kinds of things that can happen. So this table is a lengthier one. I've just picked two of them to explain you. So this table helps you to identify what kind of troubling or what kind of error or what kind of fault you can have in your ATM. So this is about the equipment. If the interface doesn't work, so we have seen this M1, M2, M3, all these kinds of interface, right? If that particular interface doesn't work properly, so what happens if you have a congestion control? That is, your network is overloaded. You have bottleneck. You would have learned about the term bottleneck. So when you have capacity of the network is suppose it can transfer 2 Mbps data, but you are trying to transfer 50 Mbps data. So you're just pushing it onto the network. So that kind of congestion can happen. So these kinds of errors can happen in your ATM network. That is, these kind of errors or fault can happen with the elements of the ATM system, all the components that you have, switches, routers, all those things. So next one is about the performance. So first we saw about the configuration management. Second one we saw about the failure management, and third one is performance. How the performance can be improved when there is some kind of failure. So the performance is monitored by this performance management system. Traffic is monitored. So what are the number of incoming packets? What is the number of outgoing packets? All those kinds of data it is monitoring. And then it is monitoring your user parameter control and the network parameter control. Then performance management control, network data collection. To do all these things, all these general monitoring, performance monitoring, all those five things, we have these three, um, what to say, them, some kind of monitoring system. So first one is physical layer performance, next one is ATM cell level protocol monitoring, and next one is PC. So that is your user parameter control and network parameter control. So these are the things which help us to do all these five kinds of performance management system. So these five performance management system are done with these specific modules or functions or which I can call as. So next topic is ATM, digital exchange interface management. So digital exchange interface will allow for the data terminal equipment and data circuit equipment to communicate with. So this is given in this diagram. So this diagram tells you what kind of things you can have. So this DTE, that is data terminal equipment. So this data terminal equipment and data digital circuit equipment, that when you are using, then you will be using DXI, data exchange interface. So DTD is sorry digital terminal equipment. So these two things, when they are communicating, then you will be having ATM data exchange interface. So next is your UNI, it is your user network interface. So DTT can be either a hub or it can be a router, and then DCE, it will be your interface, like there is an interface between your hub router and your ATM switch. Okay, so this DTE can be your hub or it can be your router, and you have the ATM switch on the other end. So this DCE acts like an interface between your hub and your ATM switch. So when you are using that is to communicate with DTE and DCE, you are using DXI, data exchange interface, and between the ATM switch and your DCE, you are using the ATM UNI. And then this kind of thing, that is all the thing which we saw here, this forms your ILMI, Integrated Local Management Interface. So next is your network management system, like how we have an SNMP. So this becomes your manager, NMS becomes your manager, and this becomes your agent. So this is about the data exchange interface. So that's it for today. So if you have any doubt, you can post it. So it is again just a reminder about today's open book test that we have for the fifth hour. So fifth hour for the 10-20 minutes, I'll be handling the class. Then you will be posted the questions that we have for 2 marks. Then you can continue writing your answer. So do you have any doubt?